Hello friends, welcome to Web Technology. In this video, we will be discussing about how to create Node.js application with the MongoDB database. So basically MongoDB database used for storing data using JSON format. In this video, we'll be discussing about how to store data from Node.js application to MongoDB database. So here we are going to deal with a client server application. So in client we will be creating a HTML form where we will be collecting the data, user data, form data we will be collecting. And in server we will be creating a Node.js program. In Node.js program we will be reading the data. So we are going to read the data from the HTML form and we are going to store in the MongoDB database. And similarly we are going to fetch the data from MongoDB database to and we are going to display in the HTML form. So this is what we are going to learn in this video. So here you need some certain softwares for creating a Node.js application with the MongoDB database. So first we need a Node.js software. Node.js software basically used for creating a server-side applications using JavaScript. Here JS stands for JavaScript. Also we need a MongoDB database software we need to install. So I'm going to create one example program. So where I'm going to collect some user details and I'm going to demonstrate how to store the data in MongoDB database. So here we are going to see there are two database operations. We are going to see how to store the data as well as how to fetch the data and how to display in the user interface. So here I'm going to take this example how to get data, user data such as name, email and phone numbers. And when I click the sign up button, it will store the data in the MongoDB database. And I have given one link called view all users. When I click this link, I can see the stored data, whatever stored data already I have in the database, I can able to see in the page. First we need a software. So first we need to install Node.js. So when you can search, you can be getting a Node.js website where you can download the software from this link. I have already downloaded and I have installed already. The same way we need another software called MongoDB. So when you search MongoDB in Google, you'll be getting a website called mongodb.com. So here you can download the software. So if you click this website, you will be getting a page. So in this page, we have to go and search for MongoDB Community Edition. So for that, so there is a link called products. So you have to go to the link products and there is a community edition. You have to click this community edition. So when you click community edition, you will be getting a MongoDB community server. MongoDB community server. So this is a software we have to install. And when you just scroll down, you can see a download button. Here you can download the software and you can install the software. And in order to work with this MongoDB database, we need a graphical user interface. So for that we can use tools. So here you can, the left side you can click tools where we have two types of tools. Just for example, here I have two types of tools we can use. MongoDB shell we can use. If you want MongoDB shell, we can download this MongoDB shell. So what is meant by shell is, it is actually a command prompt terminal window through which we can connect to the database, we can create database and we can able to store data. Like in Oracle we used to type commands, right, like insert into table name, like so like that. In command prompt itself we can write everything, right? So that is called MongoDB shell. Suppose if you are not comfortable with the MongoDB shell, we can use MongoDB graphical user interface. So there is an option called MongoDB Compass. Okay, so when you use MongoDB Compass, we will be getting a graphical user interface for working with the MongoDB database. Okay, so this is another software, MongoDB Compass, you have to download and install. So for these two software, the base software is you need is MongoDB Community Edition software you need to install first. So first thing you have to install is MongoDB Community Server. Then you have to either you have to install Compass or you have to install shell for interacting with the MongoDB. Okay. So now let us see how the MongoDB database look like. After installation, if you search, you'll be getting MongoDB Compass. So when I open this software, so the first you'll be getting this page. So here first you'll be getting a URI called MongoDB / localhost 27017. So this is a port number and this is a IP address of the server. Here it is mentioned as localhost. We can also use IP address 127.0.0.1. So this is a URI to connect the database. So we have to click connect. So for example, first we have to click connect. So when you click connect, the database will be connected, and here we can see the databases in the left side. We can see all the databases already created. Okay. So now in order to demonstrate this example, I am going to create one database called college. So in that college database, I am going to create a data collection called students. So here what I am going to do is, first I am going to create a database called college. Then I am going to create a collection called students. Then under students, I am going to store these data: name, email, phone number. Okay, all these data I am going to store. Okay, so now let us see. First we'll create a database. So to create a database, there is a plus symbol is there. You can click this and it will open a graphical user interface, and this will be provided by MongoDB Compass. So here we can create a database. First I am going to create a database called college. Okay, so just write a college, and in database we at least we have to include one collection. Okay, so collection is similar to a table in Oracle database. Okay, so for example, I want to store student data, right? So students. Okay, so the collection name is students. So now we have set the database name and we have set the student the collection name. Then now we can click create database. So now the database is created. In the left side you can see college database, and under college we have a collection called students. Inside collection we can store data. So for example, how to store data, here we can I'll demonstrate how to store the data. So when I click here, so there is an option called insert document, right? So here we can write the data in JSON format. So usually we have to write in the double curly braces. So for example, I want to store these data. So what are the data I want to store? Name, email, phone number. So these are the data I want to store. So we can store name of the person, student, for example John. Then comma. The next data we can store email ID. For example, john@gmail.com. Then followed by phone number we can store. We can write phone number. So you can write in numbers or you can write in a string format also we can store. Right. So now you have to click this insert button. So when you click insert button, one data is added, and automatically the MongoDB will create a ID for this particular document. Okay. So this is called document. So like this we can store so many data inside MongoDB. Okay. So now let us see how we can store data from Node.js application using a form data. So like we are going to design a form like this, and let us see how to store data from this form. Okay. So for that we are going to start a Node.js application. So I'm going to use a Microsoft Visual Studio Code. Here I'm going to create a folder. So this is a folder I have created in D drive. So now I have a folder called MongoDB demo. So now open this my VS Code. We can open this folder from D drive. So now this folder I'm going to open here. Okay, so after opening the folder, so what we have to do is, so this is a folder. So now I'm going to create a Node.js program to design this client. Okay, first we are going to design the client, and we are going to, when I click the submit button, we are going to write the logic how to store the data in the database. Okay, so let us start with how to create a Node.js application. Okay, so first of all we should test whether Node.js is installed or not. So for that we have to click this terminal, click new terminal. So when you click new terminal, you'll be getting in the bottom, we'll be getting this Okay, so this terminal window will be getting. So here we can test the Node.js by typing node-v. So you will be getting a currently installed version, you can see. Then we can able to in this terminal only we have to run the Node.js application. So now let us start with the one server side program. For example, I am going to create a program called app.js. So here we can write JavaScript code and we can execute using a node command. For example, just for example, in JavaScript we have a function called console.log to display some data. Okay, so in the console window, right? So for example, welcome, right? So now you have to save the program. Now how to execute this Node.js program, right? So we have to use node app.js. So now we are getting the output welcome, right? So this is a way we have to execute the program, right? So now let us see how to design this interface and how to display this interface when we are running the program. Okay, so this is called actually HTTP request. Okay, so this type of client server interaction is called as HTTP request and response processing. Okay, so to include HTTP request and response processing in Node.js, we need a HTTP protocol. So first what you have to do is we need to create a HTTP variable. So we can include the HTTP module by using require function, right? So this is for HTTP request processing. It means using this HTTP we can create server. We can create a server and we can run the server. We can configure the server in Node.js application. Okay. So now to create a server, first we need to call create const server HTTP dot. There is a function called create server. So inside create server we have to use a function within bracket. First thing is request object, second one is response object. Okay, so that we have to create a function with the two parameter called request and response. So now then followed by open bracket, close bracket, then press enter. So now the server module is created. So inside we can configure some code. We can write a code for displaying data in the browser. Okay, so now the server is created like this. Now we have to activate this server. We have to run the server by using a server dot. There is a function called listen, and when you listen we have to give a port number. For example, I am going to give the port number as 6000. Okay, and we can write one more callback function to display the status of the server. Okay, so we can display like this console.log. First we need to display some data, right? So to display data we have to use this response object. So how to use response object? So response dot, first we need to set the header of the response by using a write head. The status code is 200 means success code, and followed by we have to write content type. Okay, we have to write the content type of the response. The content type can be a text message or it can be a HTML program. So we can write for example text or HTML. Okay, so we can pass HTML data or we can pass a text data also. Okay, so now we'll try one message, right? Hello. Now we can end also, right? So after writing all the response we can call end function which will end the program, right? So which will end the writing part, right? So now the server is ready. I am printing hello message, right? So we'll save this program. Okay, so here we have given the port number as 8000. So the previously I have given 6000, I have changed to 8000. Right, so now to execute this program, first we need to save the program and we have to come to the terminal window and we have to execute the command node app.js. So now it will show like this. So when you click this we can able to see that. Otherwise we can go to this here we can try localhost 8000. So when you type localhost 8000 we will be getting the output. So here we can see that localhost 8000, right? So the output we are getting hello message, right? So this is how we have to send response to the HTTP request. Okay. So now we are coming to this particular problem, this particular question. So here we have to design this page and we have to show, right? When you go to localhost 8000, we have to display this page, right? So the what we can do is here we have a request object. Using request object, we can check the URL pattern. Based on the URL pattern, we can display the user interfaces, right? User interface for the particular request. So usually when you give a request like this, localhost 8000. So here I'm giving a localhost 8000. So that it will end with a slash, right? So the URL is actually the URL will be slash. Okay. So if I'm giving a localhost 8000, the URL format will be, URL pattern will be just a slash, right? So based on this URL pattern, we can write some logic, right? So if it is slash, we can display this particular form. We can display this particular form. This HTML form we can create and we can display this particular form page we can able to display. Okay. So what we can do is we have to check this URL pattern, right? So to check the URL pattern, we can write condition. So how to write condition is, if request object dot URL pattern is equal to slash. If it is slash, I want to show the form, HTML form I want to show. Okay. So for that, the HTML content type is needed. First we need to set the content type. Right head 200, content type is text or HTML. Then instead of writing hello message, I want to show a HTML form, right? So what we can do is we can remove this, and here we can show a HTML page we can display. To display HTML page, we have to go to this folder, create one HTML page we have to create. For example, sign up dot HTML page we can create. So inside sign up page, we can create a HTML program. So inside HTML program, we can include the title. We can, if you want, you can include the title, sign up page. Now inside sign up page, we can create a HTML form. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a form tag. Inside form tag, first I'm going to collect the name of the person. So let's try an input text box. And in every text box, I want to read the data, right? So here I have a form data, right? So I want to read the data from this form and I want to store in the MongoDB database, right? So for that, first we need to create a variable for this particular form field using a name attribute. So for example, name, and we can also create break. So now quickly we can finish this three text boxes: email, phone number. So action is very important here. Okay. So when you click the submit button, so submit button I didn't create. We can create a submit button using a button tag, and we can say that sign up. Okay, sign up, and the type of this button is actually, it should be submit. So when you click submit button, the sign up button, the form data will go to that URL. Which URL? It will go, it will be, the form data will be submitted to a URL which is specified in action attribute, right? So here I'm going to give the URL as for example, sign up. Okay, the URL as sign up. So remember, this sign up is not this HTML program. This sign up is a URL pattern. Okay, URL pattern like this. Here I have written slash, right? So now this URL pattern is look like this. Okay, slash sign up, right? So for example, the next URL pattern is like this, slash sign up, right? So now using this URL pattern, we can write logic to store the data in the database, right? Now we have to attach method also. So method is equal to post, right? So method must be a post method because we need to send the data more secure. Okay. So now the form is ready. We can save this form and we can come to this app.js. In app.js, I want to display this form to the user when user type localhost 8000 when user type URL pattern is slash, right? So when user type localhost 8000, I want to show this form, right? So for that, I have to read this HTML program and I have to display the content. Okay. So to read, we need a module called FS module, which is called as file system module. Require FS module we have to include. Using this FS module, we can read and display. So fs.create read stream. There is a function called create read stream. Within bracket, we have to give from where you want to read the content. So I have created a file program called signup.html. Now I have to pass all the response, all the content of signup.html to the response, right? So for that, there is a function called pipe function we have to use. Inside pipe function, we have to pass the response object. Okay. So now what will happen is, from this HTML program, all the content will be dispatched to this response object. So here in the response object, it will be displayed. Okay. So now to test this program, we'll save this program and we can execute the program. We have to stop the server first. Already server is running, right? So we have to stop. To stop, we have to press Ctrl C. We have to press Ctrl C. So when you press Ctrl C, you will be getting a command prompt again. So now we can able to execute the program. So to execute again, run the node command, press enter. So now we can go to that this particular page. So here we can, when you reload, you can able to see the page here, create user account page. You can able to see here. Okay. So this is a user interface page as per the here question. So we have created the user interface page. So when I click sign up page, now I want to store the data, right? So before storing a data, I have to read the data, right? So I have to read and store it in a variable. Then I have to store it in a MongoDB database. Okay. So to store the data from the text box, so we'll go to this code, and here we have written if request URL is slash, I'm doing this, I'm showing this signup.html. Now when I click the sign up page, okay, when I click the sign up page, what will happen? The URL format will be changing. Okay, let us see that. When I give some data here, for example, some mail ID, some phone number. So when you click submit button, it will submit the data to the URL called slash signup. Okay, so it will show the URL pattern like slash signup. For example, look at here. Okay, so it will show the URL pattern look like this, slash sign up. Okay, so the URL pattern is changed like this, right? So now the URL pattern will be look like this, right? So that's why I told the URL pattern is actually changing, right? So Node.js is working based on the URL pattern. We have to write the logic. Okay, so slash sign up, we have to write logic. So for that, first we need to go to this app.js. In app.js, we can write else if. First we can take the request dot URL, which is equal to slash, we have to check slash sign up, and also we have to check the method also, request dot method is equal to post. So if both conditions are satisfied, we can read the data. Okay, so it means that I have clicked the user clicked the submit button, and we are getting the URL pattern is sign up, and the request method is post. Okay, so if both conditions are true, we can able to read the data from the HTML form. So which form? From this form we can able to read the data, right? So this form we have created with a name called for every text box we have given a name. So using this name, we have to read the data, right? To read the data, here what we have to do is, inside this particular else if, first we need to create one variable for storing the data. For example, the raw data coming from the form, I'm going to store it in this variable, raw data variable. So how to store the data? For that we have to use request.on function. There is an event called data event. This event generates the data from the client. So we can access the data by creating a variable called data. Okay, right? So this is a data variable we can create, and we can open a function, and inside the function we can store all the data in the raw data. Okay, so for that I'm going to use concatenation operator. So I'm storing all the data to the raw data. After storing it, we can display it. Okay, or after storing it, we can store it in a MongoDB database. Okay, so to check, first I'm going to display it. So for to display, what I'm going to do is we are going to write another one more request on data. So here one more event is occurred called end event. So this end event will be occurred when the data reading process is completed fully. Only this end event will be occurred. So it will go to the end event first. Then so here we have to write a function. Inside this function we can process the data, raw data we can process. And to process the data, first we need to create one object called where that data, for example form data. I'll create one variable form data equal to a new URL search params. There is a one class called URL search params. So using this object we can able to parse the data. Okay, so we have to pass the raw data inside this URL search params. Now we can able to display the data. Just I will display the data. For that we need to we need this header. After header we need to display the data. Okay, so just we'll try to display the data using write function. First I'm going to display the name, name colon. So name, how to take name, form data. Here there is a function called get. Inside we have to pass the variable name of the text box. So here we have a variable name for the text box as name, right? So this is actually the variable name. So we have to give the text box get function, we have to give name. Okay, right? So like this we have to access all the data, right? So the name, for example next data we can display in the next line. Like this quickly I'll complete the code. Phone number. Okay, so here we have to give the text box name. We are supposed to give here inside get function to get the data, right? So now can write semicolon, right? So finally we can call end function. Okay, so now so this is the way we have to read the data and store it in a form data variable. Some variable we can create and convert as a URL search params type. Okay, so now just for understanding I'm displaying first, then we are going to see how to store in a MongoDB database. Okay, after saving the program, so now we have to execute the program, right? So here now to execute the program we have to first stop the server again, then we have to run the program again. So after running the program we can go back to the browser, we can reload the page. You have to reload the page. Now we'll test whether it is working or not. For example I'm going to give a name called Ashok and ashok@gmail.com. okay, and phone number, some phone number. Okay, so when I click sign up button, now look at this URL pattern. In URL pattern is changed to /sign up, and inside this URL the data, received data is displayed. So now it is working, right? So we have, just for testing only I have displayed the data. So now the data is coming. So now this data I'm going to store it in MongoDB database, right? Here we'll see how we can store the data in MongoDB database. Okay, so already we have created a MongoDB database called college.students. This is a college is a database, student is a collection table data. So now this data is available in this localhost colon 27017 port number. Okay, so now let us see how we can store the data. To store the data we have to use a module called, there is one module called Mongoose module. We have to use Mongoose module. Okay, so the Mongoose module is used for interacting with the database, and it is used for accessing the database from Node.js. Okay, so this module we have to install first. first we need to install in our folder, in our project we have to install. Okay, so let us see how to install. To install, we need to install this. So to install, we have to use npm install mongoose. Okay, mongoose you have to type. Okay, so when press enter, you'll be getting that particular package will be added. Okay, so now let us see how to install. So we have to go to this command terminal, control C. Now we have to start with npm install mongoose. So mongoose, you have to type, npm install mongoose, press enter, and provided you should have an internet connection. So if you have an internet connection, it will start download the mongoose package, and it will store in the project, so that we can able to use that mongoose module for connecting the database and accessing the data. Okay, so now we can see the packages added. It will add 24 packages is added. So now we are ready to use this mongoose package. So how to use the mongoose package? It's very simple. So you have to go to this in the top. First, there are few steps. There are 4 steps for a database connection. First, we need to include the mongoose package. Then we have to create a connection, and we have to create a schema structure, and we have to create a model. So there are 4 steps involved. Okay, so quickly I will just include that. So now here, so first we need to create a constant called mongoose. Okay, so we'll create a variable called mongoose. So this variable, how to use require, using require, we have to use the mongoose module we have to use. So after including this mongoose module, now using this mongoose module we can create a connection. So to create a connection, we have to use connect. Okay, so to connect, we have to give the URL. So URL should be a MongoDB : / then the IP address of your local host. Local host IP address is 127.0.0.1 / then the followed by the database which we have created. Okay, and before that, port number also we have to use. In MongoDB we have a port number called 27017, right? So this 27017 we have to type, and next followed by the database name is college, right? So we have to use the database called college here. Okay, so now it will try to connect, and if the connection is success, it will call this then function. We have to write a then function, and we can write a message console.log. Okay, so we can check whether database is connected or not. So just we'll write one message, database connected, right? So now let us see how it is working, the database connected or not. So to check whether the database is connected or not, we have to again go to the terminal. We have to execute the program, right? So when you execute the program, we can see here database connected messages we are getting, right? So it means that database is connected successfully, right? So now after connecting this database, we have to create a structure of the data you are going to store. Okay, first we need to create a structure. So to create a structure, we need to create one variable called student schema. So I'm creating a student data, right? So student schema first we have to create is equal to new mongoose dot schema. There is a function called schema. Using schema function, we can define the schema. So first data I'm going to store is name of the student. The data type is, we have to mention like this, and email ID colon every data, then data type. Okay, email and the data type, then phone number, phone and the data type. So here everything is string. Okay, so this defines the schema structure of a data. After creating this schema structure, what we can do is we can able to create a model for our collection. So once we create a model, we can store, we can find, we can search, we can get the data, we can store the data, we can do anything in that particular student data collection we have created in the MongoDB. Okay, So now we are going to create a model. So to create a model, first we need to create one variable. So that model is actually, for example, student model is equal to, using this mongoose dot, there is a model function is there. So inside model function, first we need to give the name of the collection. So name of the collection is students, right? So we have to copy this name and we have to place it here, and comma followed by which schema we are going to follow. So I'm going to follow student schema, right? So we are going to use this student schema. Okay, so this way we have to create a model. So once you create a model, what we can do is we can able to store the data, right? So using the student model, we can store the data. So how to store the data? We have to copy this variable student model, and the data is available here, right? The data we can get using form data dot get name. This is the data, right? So now currently what I'm doing is I'm displaying it, right? So instead of displaying it, what we can do is we can comment. I'll just we can delete this. Instead of displaying the data, I'm going to store it in a database, right? So first what you have to do is you have to use that model name student model dot, there is a function called create. Okay, so inside create we have to pass the data in a JavaScript object format. So name colon, what is the name? So how will you pass the name? Form data dot get of name. Okay, comma followed by second data. How will you pass? Email colon form data dot get email. Okay, then followed by, so we can type in vertically also we can type. So next data we can store phone number. So vertically also we can type form data dot get of phone. Okay, so from this form data, I'm getting all the data, 3 data. I'm going to create a JavaScript object. This JavaScript object I'm passing in create function. So now the data will be stored in the MongoDB database. We can display the result. So to display result, we can write rs.write. So you can say that data saved successfully. So now we can save the program and we can come back to this terminal window, and we have to stop the server again. We have to rerun the program. So when you rerun the program it will say the server started, database connected. So now we can go back to this interface. We can reload the page. Now we can see the database. So currently look at this. Currently we have a data called john@gmail.com and phone number. Now I'm going to add one more data called Ashok, right? So now let us see a new data is added or not. Ashok@gmail.com. Then we can write some phone number. Okay, so when you click submit button, the data will be saved in the database, right? So now we are getting the message called data saved successfully. Okay, so now we will go to this MongoDB interface. We can check. To check, there is a refresh button is here. So you have to click this refresh button. When you click, you can see the data we have added ashok@gmail.com, and the phone number is coming. We'll add one more data. For example, here I'm going to add Jenny, and mail ID is assume that jenny@gmail.com, and phone number is 99 something. Okay, and click sign up. Now again it is added. Okay, we can go and check, and here again I'll click here. Now look at this, Jenny data is added, jenny@gmail.com, some number mobile. Okay, and the structure you can see in table format also. Here you can, there is a table view is there. This is a table view. So we can see how many data, 3 data we have stored in the database. Okay, so this way we can store any number of data from the client. Okay, so here we have discussed how to design the interface in Node.js application, and when you click submit button, how to store the data in MongoDB database. Okay, so next we are going to see how to display the data in a table format. Okay, so for that first we need to create a link like this as given in this question. when I click this view all user, I want to display the data. Okay, so I'll create one link first. I'll go to this interface. So interface is signup.html, right? So the signup.html. So below this form, I'm going to create one div element. So inside div element, I'm going to create a hyperlink. So this link, I'm going to create a URL pattern called /view. Okay, so this will view all students. Okay, so when I click this link, it will display all the students. Okay, so now the URL pattern is /view, right? So here we have to write a URL pattern. We have to write logic. Now the URL pattern is /view. Okay, so for when I click the link, hyperlink view all students, URL pattern will be /view, right? So we have to write logic for that particular URL pattern. So for that, first we have to save this link and this particular HTML page. Now we have to go to the app.js. Now here look at that, when the URL pattern / I'm showing the sign up page. When the URL pattern sign up, I'm reading the data, I'm storing the data in the database. Okay, now I'm going to write one more else if. Okay, for example, after this, so this is a else if, right? After this, I'm going to write one more else if for this view option, right? So request.url, now I have to check the URL is /view or not. Okay, and usually hyperlink generates a method called get method, so we can check that also. Request dot method equal to post, sorry, not post, now it is get. We have to check for get. Okay, so if it is get and if it is view, now what I have to do? Okay, so we have to display the data in a table format. Okay, so now let us see how to do that. So first, to display, first we need to set the content type. We have to set the content type like this. We have to set the content type. So after setting a content type, now we can fetch the data from the database. So how to fetch the data from database? It's very simple. Already we have connected database college, and we have created a connection to the collection also. We have created a model which represent this student collection. Okay, now using the student model, we can able to fetch all the data. So for that, you have to use student model dot find function. We have to use a find function. The find function fetch all the data and it will give us a collection of data. Okay, now this data we can store by using a then function. Inside then function, we have to create a function. Inside the function, we can store all the students in a variable called students. Now we can create a function here. Now inside this function, we have to display in a table format. Okay, so to display a table format, first we need to prepare the table tag. So you can use rest.write. Inside we can create table tag. So table tag border is equal to 1 and cell spacing, so we can use some formatting, and we can also mention that width is equal to some 400 width. Now I am opening a table like this. Just I am opening a table. Now in first row we have to display. So first row tr. So we have to create a column header, right? First I am going to display name of the student. Second column I am going to display the email ID of the student. Third column we can display the phone number of the student, right? So now the one row is not closed. Okay, so we have to close the row. Okay, so now one row is completed, right? So one row is completed. Now look at this. Using find method, the find method fetch all the student data and it will store the data in this variable, students variable. Okay, now from this students variable, we have to iterate one by one and we have to prepare a rows in the table. Okay, so for that, in JavaScript we have a very easiest way, students dot, there is a function called for each. So inside for each element, okay, and we can use a arrow function. Arrow function we can write like this. Using arrow function, it's a shortcut method of writing a function. So we can use this element. We can access every element data. Sorry, or we can make it as instead of element we can write student. Okay. So now listen carefully. This is a student list. This is a particular student. Okay. So for each student, this for loop, this particular thing will be repeated. Okay. So it's a for loop. Okay. For each student, this particular thing will be repeated. So inside what we have to do, first we need to write. We have to open the T or row. We have to open first. So after this, first we need to open a tr tag. Then inside tr tag we have to write td. So plus, in every td we have to display the student name. First I am going to display the student name. I am going to close the td. Okay. So now the same way we can display the email and phone number. Okay. So we have to open td and we have to access email and phone number. Right. So now here finally we have to close the tr. Okay. So then after this we can display, we can say that res.end. Okay. So now that's all. We have created a table structure for displaying the records from the database. From this MongoDB database we have 3 records: John, Ashok, Jenny. Right. So now let us see how it is actually displayed. Okay. So first thing is, after writing this, we have to go to here, file, save this program and come to this terminal. Stop the server first, then again we have to start the server. Right. Now we have to go back and reload this page, and here I am going to this link only. Right. So I am going to click this link. So when I click this link, look at this, we are able to see whatever we have stored in the database. We can able to see John, Ashok, Jenny. This data was there in the database. Here you can see John, Ashok, Jenny. Right. 3 data. So if you want one more data, if you want to add victor@gmail.com, phone number, some phone number. Now when I click submit button, data is saved, and we'll go back to that page. When you click the view all student, we can see, look at this, victor@gmail.com. whatever we stored, it is there. And now we can check in the MongoDB also. In MongoDB we have to refresh. When you refresh, now look at this, one more record is saved, victor@gmail.com. Okay. So this is about how to store data, how to fetch data from the MongoDB database and display in a table format in the user interface. So similarly, when I go back and we can add another one more data, for example, I'll add Bright. Okay. And the email ID is Bright, and this is a phone number. Okay. And when I click submit button, data saved successfully. When you view all, you can see bright@gmail.com stored. So when I reload, see, look at this, 5 data. Now it is 5 data. Right. So Bright is added here. Here you can see Bright data is added in the database. Okay. So this is about how to store data in a MongoDB database from Node.js application by using an interface. So just like a full stack development, we can able to extend by adding update, delete and all. Okay. Thank you.